The question is that this bill be now read a second time, and I call the member for Perth.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. 5 million listeners every week tune in to our community radio stations, 450 stations across the country, all doing wonderful community service, be it in times of crisis, during COVID, during bushfires, floods in communities unfortunately affected by those challenges, connecting multicultural communities, or providing that diversity that doesn't exist in the large commercial networks. And that's why I'm so pleased to be speaking on this bill, which gives further support and certainty to our community radio stations. What we know is that at the moment, the renewal process for licences for our community radio stations sometimes gives unnecessary stress or uncertainty. This bill delivers the certainty they need. It also makes sure that we no longer have that fear of the renewal process being a competitive process, which prevents stations from making some of those long-term investments and plans that they need. Also clarifying the powers of ACMA to make sure that when they're issuing new licences, they can do that with authority. Third, ensuring that there's flexibility for ACMA, so that they need to issue a temporary licence or to provide flexibility when they are looking at how they handle those licences, they have that power. And again, clarifying the powers of ACMA and the discretion they have to limit the number of temporary community broadcasting licensees that can share a particular frequency. Of course, there is nothing worse than driving, listening to your favourite station and having a level of interference, and this, again, protects from that happening. And it's backed in by an additional $4 million per year of funding, making sure that we have more investment in our community radio stations. That the member for Mayo so brilliantly outlined how well they do with so little funds. And we all know that our community radio stations make a couple of dollars stretch a very long way, because they're not just driven by a profit motive, they're driven by the motive of ensuring that they provide an essential community service. And in that, I want to pay tribute to the Minister for Communications, who is a very strong advocate for community radio. And I think that's demonstrated by the fact that she's chosen to be here for so much of the debate, but also in that she has fought for additional funding for community radio, and that her first piece of legislation that she's putting through this parliament is to back our community radio sector. Yeah. And so, like many have done before me, I want to talk about the wonderful community radio stations in my electorate. The biggest community radio station in Western Australia is RTR FM. Founded about 40 years ago by students at the University of Western Australia. Why is it RTR? Because they thought that it was a pirate radio station, and so RTR FM was founded by the students of the University of Western Australia. And now, some 40 years on, they run more than 50 different programs every single week. They are a key partner of the Perth Festival, the biggest arts festival in Western Australia. They are funded by the community, and their radiothon each year brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars to provide this essential service. And I'd encourage anyone who wants to see why this station is loved so much to tune in to 92.1 FM or online at rtrfm.com.au. People do love this station in my community. It's based on Beaufort Street in Perth. It is part of the community. They are constantly holding community events. I was surprised to learn that their average listener tunes in for 11.6 hours a week. That's dedication. They have 42,000 people listen to their breakfast program every single day. Over each month, 262,000 people tune in to listen to RTR FM. And when it comes to the music that they choose to play, 73% of the music that RTR plays is from local Western Australian artists. It is the launching pad for so many bands and musicians in Western Australia. And to the team at RTR, I say thank you for that. They recently did a social impact survey which showed, quote, RTRFM is one of the main voices for arts and culture in Western Australia. And, quote, 85% say that listening to RTRFM makes them feel like part of a community, lessening that isolation and distance that has become too common in our community. Making sure that we have stronger communities, making sure that we connect people, making sure that people feel like when they call in, they're actually talking to a friend on air. I've been proud to support RTRFM through the Stronger Communities program to give them new performance spaces for artists. I've been pleased to attend there with the now Leader of the House to talk to them about investing in the arts. I'm sure that I will, sometime in this term of government, be able to get the Minister for Communications in for a chat. And I've also been pleased to attend In the Pines with the now Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. If I can encourage all members, if you find yourself on the West Coast, please do visit RTRFM. I'm sure they'll be very happy to have any member of this Parliament on for a chat. And I do want to give a shout out to their chair, James Hall, General Manager, Simon Murado, presenter and a wonderful part of the Perth community, Danae Gibson. And even I learnt yesterday that member of the Press Gallery, Sarah Eisen, is a former volunteer at RTRFM, again showing that these community radio stations across the country are the training ground for some of the best journalists in this country. Now, I can also note that obviously it's well serviced by Amanda Coop from the Community Radio Network based here in the Press Gallery. In conclusion, I just want to also note some of the other wonderful West Australian community radio stations, including Radio Fremantle at 107.9 FM, Curtin Radio at 100.1 FM, playing everyone's favourite classics and definitely worth tuning into if you want to go back a few decades in time and listen to some wonderful classic music. I want to note 6 EBA FM, World Radio, based in North Perth in my electorate, and the sound of the northern suburbs, 89.7 FM, all wonderful community radio stations who I know want to see us in this place pass this legislation to show how much we support them. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The question